Alright guys, BLM here, back with more NieR Replicant, continuing on. We are heading for Facade, right? The desert city of Facade. So let's go. We just finished the fight in the Irie area. Also listening to the Big Brother update, which I'm trying to get up right now.
And Alyssa's like, oh, Hannah was Hannah in it? She's like, no. Hannah's not included either. See, I was worried about Hannah because Hannah said that she would vote to keep Kyland over me when Frenchie asked her. That's where it started. But today I talked with her and I really like her. And she's not...
We need to head back to the village, then leave by the east gate.
I imagine a tome such as myself will find an arid desert climate quite delightful.
There's this.
Included in things either. I really feel like we should keep her around. And so, like, great news for Hannah there. Whitney tells Alyssa that she loves the idea of the women working together to take out big targets because they're aligned with those big targets and they can't take those shots. And that places them right in the middle. Best place to be, best position you can be in the game. So, Whitney is, like, she has her strategic heart in the right place. She's not blindly loyal to her alliance. She wants shots to be taken at these people. She wants to be safe in the middle. I think that's great. She wants to play both sides. Love that. I think that she is a little bit misguided here because there is more nuance to this than I think most players tend to realize. A lot of people think I'm nicely in the middle here. I'm not going to be in trouble. But the problem is that it's
safer inside the village.
It's fine. I like being alone. If you head out from another exit, I'll just meet you there.
You sure? I know Yona would be really excited to meet you.
Don't force the issue now. Her mind is clearly made up. Not everyone loves the company of others as much as you.
All right, I won't push it.
See you in a bit.
Okay.
pretty rare that two sides take each other out down to a nice manageable number where you can swoop in as the middle group and take over. What usually happens is one side dominates the other and you're just left on the bottom of the winning side's team, essentially. And you have no room to play. You have to make a power play from the middle if you want to have success. And a lot of players find that out over time. They're like, hey, I'm in the power alliance, but I'm also good with people outside. I'm going to be throwing HOHs. I'm going to be letting these two go after each other. And then sooner or later they find that one side has been decimated and now they're that other side. And that's not a good place to be. And so that's something to be concerned about. In addition to that, Whitney is not so neatly placed in the middle as she thinks. As we know, people connect her with Brent and want to put her on the block next to Brent.
We're going to Pop
So if she throws a competition to
Or are we
women,
going straight to the gate?
she's going to find herself with a very unpleasant surprise of being put up on the block, and probably that alliance that she is on the bottom of is going to be trying to keep Brent around instead of her, and it's not going to be particularly pleasant for her.
This was so funny that, like, actually watching this conversation versus like seeing the updates on Twitter. Watching this conversation, I was like, oh, they don't understand what's happening. And Alyssa and Whitney were like, we are great, we are good, we're strong, we're two girls in this men's alliance. And I always said I wanted to go to the end with a girl, but I'd be with the guys, and we're not like the other girls type talk. And they ended up by jumping, and they're like, if the strong girls want to go for our guys, that's fine with us. Meanwhile,
let me see if I can track down
Tiffany, Claire, Azza have already talked about putting Brent and Whitney on the block as soon as this upcoming week. So Whitney is nowhere near as snug as she thinks she was. So this was just very funny for me to watch, because they legit ended their conversation jumping around and dancing because they are convinced that they are so well positioned in that group and in that house that it is just like,
let's say
and like you said, they agreed that they wanted to throw some competitions to the girls, and I was just like,
Look,
I mean,
know
if
Yona's
you
not
want
a
to throw
four-star
this
chef
week,
or anything.
please.
But
Alyssa
she
says
puts
she
her heart
doesn't.
into
Alyssa
it.
says she needs to
Only
go
a
after
real
HOH,
jerk
which makes
wouldn't
sense.
appreciate the
She
effort.
wants to go after
What kind
Derek.
of brother
That's
do you
she
think
wants
I
to win
am?
HOH, go after Derek. But yes, Whitney
Yeah.
is gonna want to throw
It wants to throw,
I guess
exactly. So this is just very funny. And again, it seems like all the people that I'm rooting against are throwing the competition. So this is, I'm looking forward to tonight, but you know, I don't want to jinx anything.
Yes.
This is funny.
Yes. Now, Whitney does say something that, because again, I do think that Whitney, like,
That's the right idea.
exactly. She's
That's a
not
very good idea.
totally wrong in her strategic thinking. And one of the good things that she talks about is that we need to
again, I don't
make
really
sure
care
that we
enough
are
about this
getting
game to
closer
do
with the women.
side content. I'm a bit unsure of whether or not I
be more
even
active in that,
whether I
which is a
wanna
good thing for them. And she
do a
advises
video
Alyssa
on this game or
that,
not.
like, okay, have-nots are over. You need to get downstairs because you miss so much. Like, no game talk happens until after like 2 or 3 in the morning, and you're already up there in the have-not room, isolated from everyone. Everyone else is downstairs, and, you know, gone to bed, and they're all talking game. That's where I found out all this information. So you need to get down here. And so Alyssa's like, okay.
Whitney is a very good player, but I think the problem is she's relying too much on Frenchie to be her font of information as opposed
Alright, let's go to the
gathering
market and
herself.
buy some shit first.
Especially when he is not a trustworthy font of information and often makes up lies. So, yeah, this is great strategy from Whitney, but she has to be more proactive socially. A lot of people in this house kind of need to be more proactive socially because they have the strategic minds, but you need that social capital to be able to do whatever you need to do. So, yeah, I will give her that. Whitney is not totally, she's not totally like off in the weeds. I just think it's funny because she's just going off of everything that Frenchie says, and everything he says is not the truth sometimes.
Yes. So Alyssa's gonna make some rounds, asking people about their vote and stuff. Really, the only thing that really seemed notable to me is that when she talks to Sarah Beth, she very heavily sort of tries to push Sarah Beth toward going after Derek, saying like you should want to put Derek up because he said your name, he said my name, he said Christian's name. You know, like these are people. We're your team. Like you should want to go after Derek. You should be putting him up. And you know, this is when she says that she told him that she wouldn't mind if he voted her out, but really she'd use it as an excuse to target him.
Right.
And in my mind, if I'm Sarah Beth and I have any lingering thoughts of putting Derek on the block as a replacement nominee or whatever, the fact that I am being pushed toward Derek by somebody who is in a majority alliance, that person hasn't told you about that majority alliance, and they're pretending to be your ally, and they're pushing you toward one particular person, I would run in the opposite direction of that. I hope that that's what Sarah Beth took away from that
So
conversation.
is Keenan just going to be with us for now?
This conversation, Sarah Beth,
Or Kaine,
if she is
whatever.
as capable a player as I think she is, she should have put all of the puzzle pieces in place. Because at this point, Kylan has told her about the slaughterhouse. She made him say the names to her like at least twice, so she knows. And this was this was just a great conversation because Alyssa was trying to not even finesse the all girls alliance information out of Sarah Beth, and Sarah Beth was trying to get some slaughterhouse information out of Alyssa. But I really do think that Sarah Beth got a lot more information from Alyssa and then Christian, and then when Xavier comes, because they end up having a team meeting, and at this point Sarah Beth knows that every person in her team is in that slaughterhouse except for her, and she was asking Alyssa like, oh well, who do you trust outside of our team? And then when Alyssa said Brent, and then Christian comes up and says Brent, and then Xavier sits down and is like, Xavier, who do you trust? And he was like, Brent. I was like, oh my god. And then Sarah Beth even said like, oh my god, maybe what am I missing? Brent never talks game with me, but you guys feel comfortable with him. And I was like, Sarah Beth, please put the pieces together.
Is this the area from NieR Automata?
So I guess we'll see.
And really, is
Yeah,
this
it's
entire
also
map the
very
same
funny
area as
because,
NieR
we
Automata?
finally had this moment where Sarah Beth, who now knows that the slaughterhouse exists and the name and the people, is able to talk to Alyssa and be like, so what do you think Frenchie is up to? Because remember, you were there, right, when he approached us about the slaughterhouse? But then nothing seems to have ever come about from that. Like,
Oh, did I die?
he formed that with other people,
Oh, shit.
but not us.
That was so good. I love Sarah Beth in this conversation. Alyssa was like, no. Like, you're telling her all she needs to know. And I'm so curious as to what she does with, like, this is confirmation. So I really want to know what she does with this information. And like you said, if anything, this should really tell her she needs to, like, lay off the Derek X train. But I like this conversation again. I thought they're both very well matched because they both thought they knew something that the other person didn't know. So.
Yeah, and somebody pointed out in the chat, and it's actually true, that Sarah Beth actually knows more about the slaughterhouse than Alyssa does. Because Alyssa's information about the slaughterhouse comes from, like, the version that Frenchie has told her, and, like, the idea that, like, she's part of it. But, like, Alyssa knows that Sarah Beth knows that it's the butchers and the slaughterhouse, and, like, who's in it and how it started and when. And Alyssa thinks that, like, it all came together that one night and they're all on a team. And then obviously Sarah Beth also knows a lot more about French kisses because while Alyssa may think she knows about this alliance, her information again comes from Frenchie, which is completely wrong. You know, it's like not quite on an even footing when it comes to factual information here.
It was just very fun to watch them spar, though. I will give them that. Like, give Alyssa some credit, I guess.
So Alyssa's gonna talk with Christian, and she lets him know what Whitney told her about the Women's Alliance. And she says apparently it was started by Claire. Christian talks about Brittany, and she says she can't believe that Derek has been lying to her face. Keeps saying that he's never talked about her coming after her, coming after Christian. He's got to go, you know, he.
Where is she going?
오! 아니 가인의 같아! 킷! 말해라! 옮긴다!
Is it Japanese?
You know these guys, Kaine?
Not exactly.
Christian says, like, well, I don't really know if I want to win the HOH, and she's like, no, you need to gun for it. It's like, yeah, but I don't want to put a bigger target on it. No, you need to gun for it. She's gonna push him hard to play for the HOH. This is good for her. Bad.
Ever since, this town's welcomed me with open arms. Gonna be a pretty screwed up place if they let me in, huh? Anyway, I don't understand a word they say, so don't get too excited.
For anybody who doesn't want somebody in the slaughterhouse to win HOH, because I think that Christian's probably the biggest threat to win this HOH is trying to
stop
win.
looking at Twitter because
that is
Sarah's
a big obstacle in the way of other people winning. But he clearly still doesn't really want to, but his allies are pushing him to.
Good luck with that.
So she's not going with us anymore? Ah, fuck off.
So we'll see.
Yeah, this might be it for today, this episode.
They also talk about Xavier.
I don't know how much more I'll go after.
She doesn't trust Xavier.
Maybe one more.
It's a weird vibe from him. She heard from Frenchie that he tried to get Derek to
sounds like Japanese.
Island, and I think that's probably where this again stems from. You know.
Or is that the joke?
Again, she is
like it sounds like Japanese.
Bit of her game and how she feels about people is coming from information that comes from Frenchie, and Frenchie is such an unreliable source of information that it is really steering her in a strange direction. Now, I don't think it's bad for her game to target Derek. I don't think it's bad for her game to be in the position she's in. For somebody who's on the block in the first week, she's pretty safe and she's in a decent spot moving forward. I don't have a lot to complain about with her game in that sense. However, the Xavier stuff is particularly damaging to her because Xavier could be very, very valuable to her game
Yeah.
if she used him. But because of this tiny little bit of information from Frenchie, which is true, but doesn't really mean anything.
That definitely sounds Japanese.
She has decided to essentially sort of like discard this very important piece that she could be using in her game to really solidify power within this structure, and that is a big mistake in my view.
I am a brilliant book of unspeakable
Yeah,
value,
this is easy.
not some dog eared traffic ad.
Divide and conquer, right?
Yeah, Xavier straight up told her to her face that like she's his type, and I get it. You don't want to be a showman, but you still want to be close to people, have people have your back. So yeah, she's letting that bug, the Frenchie bug, get into her ear about not trusting Xavier, and it's upsetting to be quite honest. She's not thinking for herself when in this situation. Oh, but also, Taryn, I do have a question. They were talking about the different teams, and they were wondering if, like, Britt would throw the HOH so that Derek X would be safe, right?
Yeah, they mentioned that idea. It's not something that like I don't think that Brent will do it. Like they would like for Brent to do it.
I haven't been missing on 1.5 speed like I thought it was.
Of letting Derek go.
I was earlier.
I mean, he's like, if you guys win, you will go after Derek. I'm not going to stop you. But like he's like, well, if I win, obviously I can't go after Derek. So I think that he will be trying to win in part to protect Derek and his team, and in part just because then he'll have power and all that. So yeah.
And that was
is this
thing
the?
That they said in front of Sarah
Okay.
Beth. They said that Brent was not openly targeting Derek X. Brent had said that he was okay with Derek X, and Sarah Beth even said, "Oh, well, that's not really good for my game." And they were like, "Oh no, it's fine, it's fine." So that's like another piece of info that Sarah Beth just has there, just right there for her. So yeah, that was pretty interesting because they were talking about the teams, and our team is all 4 of us are going, and then the other 2 teams are down 1, and then maybe we can get the one team, Derek X's team, to throw it. It was a brief conversation, but she didn't know that 2 of the people on her team are planning on throwing it as well when it was Christian and Xavier at the time. So
we came here to talk to the king.
So Brent's gonna end up joining them, and Xavier's gonna end up joining them later as well. But Brent comes in and he gives them a little bit more information on the Women's Alliance. He keeps saying it came from the grapevine because they're like, well, where did this come from? And he's like, I just heard the grapevine. He keeps saying that. So this is, I think, an interesting example. There's going to be another thing later, but when Alyssa was talking to Whitney about the Women's Alliance, Whitney said that it came from Frenchie, and that he told Brent.
Actually, let's just pause this then.
Well, there you have it. It would seem we are impeding progress.
Rule 106?
Is Rule 106 the reason for your labyrinthine system of staircases? Well, I suppose eccentric people deserve an eccentric town. It would seem we are impeding progress.
Fuck off.
Oh, come now. What could possibly be the point of such an absurd rule?
Hold on. Your people are still making rules?
Alyssa's like, but I talked to Brent, and he just said that, like, oh, maybe he heard, like, no details. And Whitney was essentially like, oh, he was lying to you then, because he was there. He was told. But it just kind of gets washed away and explained, like, oh, Brent didn't say because he didn't know the full names, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But these little inconsistencies, genuinely, Brent was withholding information from her that Whitney ended up telling her. But it's not something that she really caught on to because she didn't want to catch on to it, right? She didn't want there to be an issue there, and that's one of the reasons why Frenchie is getting away with so many things, is because, again, and we've talked about this, but you don't want this person who has power over you to be giving you incorrect information. And when he's giving information that sort of already aligns with, you know, something that you feel comfortable with, then you're much more willing to accept that information than something that challenges your current belief system. So, you know, the information that like, oh, Brent might have been withholding information from me, or like Frenchie might be withholding information from me. I'm sure there's a good explanation for that. Information that Derek X might be lying to. Oh, of course, big inconsistency there. Obviously lying, and he's telling the truth, right? So. Something you have to watch out for in Big Brother a lot, and in real life. So Brent is also going to brag about being the reason that Travis is on the block. He does this a lot, and this is funny because I mentioned this. You know, Xavier talking about how Brent can take the credit for it if he wants. Alyssa literally says, you know, Brent, you really deserve all the credit for this. Like, you really helped me out here, and he gets all the credit. Brent is also going to admit to Alyssa and Christian that if it were up to him, they would not have been invited to the slaughterhouse.
Just following the rules.
They're like, well, we got lucky that we were invited in there before you, right? And he's like, yeah.
Yeah, and this is.
I'm just gonna be straight up.
Yeah, I'm good.
This is Frenchie's fault as well, because Frenchie started this whole week of openly targeting people. When the targets fell through, he told them to their face that I was openly targeting you. But oh, we're good now. Let's be in an alliance. Like, that's why the slaughterhouse is built on shaky sand, because half of them were targeting each other before they even became an alliance. So, including Brent and Christian here. So, all of this, like, oh, I guess if I'm being truthful for you, and I'm saying that, oh, I used to target you, but I don't target you anymore, it's supposed to protect them. I don't understand how you don't get that whole I gotta shoot first before they shoot at me type of situation.
Well, so Alyssa and Christian had talked about Brent, and Alyssa basically said, it's not good for my game for a shot to be taken at Brent. I would not do that. But for your game, it probably does make sense. And Christian does think that he's going to need to take a shot at Brent at some point, or that he needs other people to win and take a shot at Brent. So Christian, I think, again, is kind of like, well, if a woman wants to win and take a shot at Brent, I'm kind of okay with that. But he may want that to happen a little bit later rather than sooner. But
right.
Alyssa is going to talk with Xavier, and she is basically like, you're going after Derek, right? Like, he's coming after us. He's like, sure. And she's like, but were you going to go after him before I just said that? He's like, not really. I mean, why not? He said that he trusts our team the least, and he's coming after us. And he's like, is he though? I feel like he's not. I don't think he's coming after you. And she's like, of course he is. He's like, okay, yeah, then yeah, I'm going after Derek. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. And she was so incensed because she's convinced. He lied to her face. He's coming after Alyssa and Christian. So everybody on their team needs to go after Derek X. So.
He says to the cameras afterwards that I have no intention of winning HOH.
Yep.
Alyssa can target Derek if she wants. But look, if somebody outside of the slaughterhouse wins, that sounds like a slaughterhouse problem, not an Xavier problem.
I love it. But again, it's unfortunate he's on the bottom of the slaughterhouse. So he's really playing roulette when he lets that power not having full control over it.
Sarah is going to talk a little bit with Derek, and this again, I'm hoping that what happened is that between Kylan vouching for Derek and then the weird conversation with Alyssa and Sarah, that she's genuinely feeling like maybe I don't want to target Derek, maybe I don't even put him on the block. She talks to him, she kind of apologizes for not really like talking to him more, and like getting to know him more, and he's like, I totally understand like the position that I was in, and she says that she wants to work with him moving forward.
Yeah, which is great. This is good. If you know you have a solid majority alliance, you got to put whatever beef aside, and y'all got to try and make it work on the outsiders. We say that every year. We always hope that the outsiders work together. The good thing, though, is it's still early in the season that they can make something happen. And the other good thing is that Slaughterhouse is not solid as a rock. So yeah, this is so
well,
great.
actually, what time? We're still in.
So scared.
Wow, okay.
I'm so scared.
All right. Frenchie, Alyssa, and Christian are going to talk late into the night here. They talk about how they don't trust Xavier. Frenchie tells them, hey, I was approached by the women for Alliance. And they're like, what? And Alyssa asks, because he says, you weren't included, Alyssa, and Whitney wasn't included. And so Alyssa goes, well, what about Hannah? Was Hannah included? He says, yes. She's like, what? Really? I just talked to her and she said, I'm just so confused. And he's like, don't worry, you're the only two I'm telling this to. Like, they already knew about this because Whitney told Alyssa and Brent told them. So they know that he told other people, but again, just kind of like, okay, whatever. And sort of he explains like, oh, and she's like, I'm confused. Like, who have you told? Who knows? Like, Brent knows. And he's like, yeah, Brent knows. I mean, he knows a little. I haven't told him names. Oh, that's why Brent hasn't told me specifics, because he doesn't know the names. It's like, again, like, just forming illogical, like, leaps to make sense of what you want to believe. And so he says, look, here's the deal. The three of us are covered by the slaughterhouse and all of those women. And he names all the women. And Alyssa's like, wait, Sarah Beth is in this too? And he's like, yeah. And so the progress that Hannah made, not sure about it now that Frenchie is dropping her as, yes, she is a part of this alliance. So we'll see where that goes. This could backfire on Frenchie, but more likely it's going to backfire on Hannah, although it might depend on who has power in the next week. Christian says, so should I try to win HOH or not? He's again trying. Okay, this is a reason I can throw HOH.
だざ、ユリセイチタザ、イラート近伝タンダより。アルテルはゾンゾスチギュータタ、パラタイチ、クルギ大佐。ギュシュで。アルテルは、さあ、
Why'd they make a bunch of rules that contradict each other?
Sure.
フリーダ。エルパ枯れたい。
That rule only forbids your people from entering the temple, right? So why not ask an outsider to save your prince?
Oh, and what luck. We just happen to have an outsider who can't stop meddling in the affairs of others right here.
I'm going to. Fira told me about Rule 1024. You know that one, right? Rule 1024. You must honor the request of any outsider owed a debt. That's how it goes, right, Fira?
Why did I ever agree to travel with such a pack of do-gooders?
Let's move.
And they both go, no, yes, you should try to win the HOH. And so he's like, okay. And so that's, again, he's being pushed to try and win this HOH again, and we'll see where that goes. But again, I feel like he's saying yes to his allies, then he's going to go to Derek, and he's going to be like, hey, Derek, I'm going to keep you safe if I win this HOH. You can do the same for me. Derek's like, absolutely. So I don't know if he plans on winning.
Right, and again, why would he make that bargain if hours earlier he was convinced that Derek X is the person who's coming after him? So...
Well, I think he thinks Derek X is the person coming after him, and that's why he wants an agreement with Derek. Don't come after me if you win. I will come after you if I win. He's covering his bases with the person he thinks he's most in danger with.
Right.
Which you would probably want to do regardless, but especially want to do if you planned on throwing the HOH.
Yeah, true. It's week 1. Like, I
Fuck
don't even know.
off.
It's week 1, and they are staying up till like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. every single night talking about absolutely nothing. And when I say absolutely nothing, I mean the exact same thing they talked about during the day. So this is just amazing. I can't wait. Can we please speculate on the HOH? You know I love a good speculation.
Well, just one final thing, which is that Brent basically lets Travis know, you know, if I had to guess, I would be very surprised if you got the votes to stay, Travis. And Travis mentioned the possibility of trying to blow things up on his way out the door, particularly I think aimed toward Frenchie. But we'll see if anything happens there. People say that a lot, but then it doesn't always happen. Not everyone is Caesar. We'll see where that goes. I've given up trying to look forward to what Travis may or may not do, because yesterday was a big disappointment from him.
Right, and he said he was gonna say a speech or something too against Frenchie. I don't know. We'll see.
So yes, heading into tonight for the HOH competition.
Bring up my chart here just to make sure I got everybody's names.
Xavier, I think, is throwing. Big D is throwing. These are the slaughterhouse people. Xavier, Big D throwing. I think Christian might throw, but he is also one of those really competitive people. He may not be able to stop himself, especially with the pressure from his alliance to compete. So I wouldn't count that as a locked-in throw. But Whitney wants to throw. Alyssa wants to play, and Kyland wants to play, but he's not necessarily going to. Yes, he's not necessarily going to do what the slaughterhouse wants him to if he does. So. I'm very curious to see where that one goes. But there's only a couple people in the slaughterhouse who may even think of playing. Then we have Tiffany, who's playing. Claire is going to be trying. Sarah Beth, I think, will be playing.
Azza is going to be playing.
Azza, Brittany, although she's spoken about throwing before. But she's also again been one of those people that's talked about if I'm up there, I don't know if I can, I'm competitive. So a lot of the women I think are going to be trying for this. Brent I don't think will throw unless there's a very specific consistency up there.
Right here.
And
Derek X.
Derek X I think will be playing to win. He's been encouraged to do that. So the odds are seemingly stacked in the favor of the women and them. But at the same time, where the competitions have stacked up so far, if Christian does try to win, depending on the kind of competition as well, it's overly physical. Now, in the past, week 2 HOHs have been usually either crapshooty kind of things or quiz kind of things. So, with that in mind, really anybody could theoretically win.
Didn't they sequestered them in HOH during a period yesterday, and going into before they went into the HOH, they were all kind of speculating on what it would be, and they're like, sometimes they let you practice for the crapshoots. By the time they came out of it, everybody was convinced that it was a crapshoot competition. So once the feeds came back, so I'm wondering if they did get to practice or something like that. But I think a lot of the house. Did you see that, or am I tripping? I thought a lot of the crap was going to be a crapshoot.
I've seen some of that. I will say that not all crapshoots are made equal, and some of them do involve a small amount of skill. And if that's the case, I would again watch out for somebody like Christian, who spends a lot of time doing stuff like that, playing frisbee golf and little hand-eye coordination stuff like that. There are small things that you can do to have a slightly better chance of winning those, depending on what kind of crapshoot it is.
It's fucking boring.
We'll
I also found it a little interesting that Tiffany basically asked Brittany to throw it, saying we don't want Frenchie safe another week, which I agree with her. But then on the same hand, she told Azza to go for it so that they could put up Brent and win.
I don't know what that was about. I think that she should want Brittany to go for it. And who cares about Frenchie right now?
Especially because they don't even plan on targeting him.
Yeah, exactly. So we'll see. We'll see. A lot. Obviously, this was a long update. There's a lot of stuff heading into this HOH, and at least half of it's probably going to be irrelevant based on who wins, right? But we're giving you both sides of where this season, but certainly week, could go. In the different scenarios of where the HOH will land. So hopefully we'll have some kind of idea tonight, depending on who wins, assuming we see who wins, which I think we will, where things might go from there. So that's pretty much what we got for you.
Yep, that's it. Putting you on the spot. Who do you want to win?
Tiffany.
Yeah, of course. Tiffany or Claire. I really want to see. I want Claire to win and get some information.
Claire would be good too, because it would basically be a Tiffany HOH, I think, and maybe it wouldn't put as much of a target on Tiffany moving forward. She wouldn't have to make the move herself. But either way, I think I think I would like to see Tiffany do it, because I just like to see how she handles it. Although Claire would be good too, because I think that Claire probably needs it more than Tiffany does in terms of integrating more with the house. So yeah, footing wise, but.
Let's see. I'm so excited. Thank you for having me on. for
Yes.
this. Is it plug time?
Let's plug the things.
All right. You can catch me and Matt Scott on the Wrestling Wrap Up every week. We normally drop on Sundays. This week we have a pay-per-view coming up, so you can follow us on Twitter and Stereo, the Stereo app, at Mari Talks Too Much. That's 2 like the number 2, and at Matt Scott GW. If you follow us on Stereo, you'll get notified every time we go live. And when we do live Stereo podcast, you can ask us questions and be involved in the podcast.
Sure.
So always, come and check us out if you're up after a pay-per-view. But this was really fun. Again, I love doing the updates. Big Brother.
Hopefully there's a save point,
delivered in this
because I want to
week,
end.
So let's hope it keeps going. I love listening to you wade through the mess, Taryn, because
Again, this will probably be it for today. It seems like it's about to leave off.
other than that, thank you for having me on.
So thank you for coming on. You can, of course, find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taryn Armstrong. I will be doing a stream
probably
later today.
tonight.
Look for it around when the
Record.
feeds go down
See.
for the day. Maybe a bit of a delay after that, just to make sure that they're down. And then, I don't know if I'll be entirely ready when they exactly go down. But sometime during the day, around when the feeds go down, I'm going to go live on Twitch to talk about the stock watch. If you have any questions about the stock watch, how it works, how you need to play,
Is there no
or
save
advice
point?
for what to do in it, check out that stream. Ask me any questions that you need to have answered. And then during the episode,
How's
I will
there
be
no
live on
save
Twitch as
point?
well, watching the first eviction of the season, and then a live reaction to the HOH competition and result as well. So that should be interesting. And then after the episode, I will be on the podcast with Rob and some great people, and we will talk through the episode. And that's going to be today. Tomorrow, I'll be back in the morning to update you on whatever happens today and later tonight on the Big Brother 23 live feeds. And then tomorrow during the day, we're going to have the patron Q&A for Big Brother again. So lots of content heading your way for Big Brother. You can also find me, of course, on Twitter at Armstrong Taryn. Thank you guys once again for joining us. And
Guess we have to play by the rules.
New frozen Chips Ahoy handcrafted beverages. Now
Alright,
at
let's
Wawa.
pause this.
Upgrade to watch videos without
Alright, so that's it for that. Then I'm still have the
generally in a
roundtable
good
listen
position, but like you guys said, I do think there needs to be a counter alliance to the slaughterhouse, and it can't just be the jackpot. As great as I love, as much as I love the jackpot, it's you can't have 4 people going up against 8 and win. It doesn't work like that. So I do think they need to kind of get now that Sarah Beth knows about the slaughterhouse, they need to do something. She needs to tell that to the jackpot, which I don't know if she will, but I do think that information needs to be shared, and they need to figure out a plan, because if they stay on the outs for too long and it gets to the point where it's them versus slaughterhouse, they will lose. So we just have to hope that happens. But yeah, at this point, Claire's a 7 for me.
all right, well, the audience is a little bit lower on Claire. They gave her 6 out of 10.
Wow, that's supposed to be your girl. Damn.
I know, I'm kind of surprised. I honestly thought they'd go higher.
Ah, shit.
It's I don't know. We found the pocket of the internet that is not. I guess. I mean, still, I will say. I guess I will say this. She is the. The 4th highest. Yeah. No. Sorry. No. Yeah. There are 3 people above her in the ratings. One of which was Azza. They actually rated Azza slightly higher than Claire.
Interesting.
There you go. Let's move on to Derek F. Let's talk about Derek F, aka Big D. And this is an interesting one for me because I think that Big D, he's in a good spot. Nobody's coming anywhere near Big D anytime soon. I think he's going to be here for a while. But he is so messy. And I just don't know that I see a winner in him. I just don't know that he has that gear. He doesn't want to win competitions. He doesn't want to make any big moves himself. He just wants to get into people's ears about his own agenda, about taking out women and stuff. And so I just don't see a winner in him. That said, it is so early to really bring him down because of that, I'm kind of gonna land at around a 5 here for Big D. But I don't expect this to go up unless he changes his game dramatically. I would expect it to only go down from here. It's so early and I've seen so little of him that I want to kind of try to give him the benefit of the doubt. But it's just tough to see like a good game come from him here, and really like the position that he's in, the safety of his position is carrying a lot of this rating. Amon, what do you think?
Yeah, I have him higher strictly because of the fact that he is so well insulated. I put him at 7, but I do worry a lot. It's a very low 7, if that makes sense, because I just remember watching him having the conversation with Ozza about like, all right, they were like preparing dinner the other night, and he's like, okay, so which girl do you want to get out of here? Because one of y'all gotta go. And I'm like, that's not how you talk to somebody that you want to, you know, work with. And like, granted, like, yeah, they're in the cookout or whatever, there's a level of familiarity there, but it felt very much like, yeah, it seems like he's really depending on getting in ears as opposed to winning power himself, which is a strategy, is a viable strategy. But if you're going to do that, then you need to be able to finesse people. And I don't necessarily know if he's able to do that quite yet. I think that even Oz's response didn't really seem gung-ho. She kind of seemed reluctant to even answer his question because he was so forceful with it. Even with a whisper, he's like, okay, so who do you want next? I'm like, oh God, like, y'all just cook and like have a good time tonight? So yeah, I do worry about him. But I think that everybody loves him. He'll definitely be here for quite some time, and so maybe his winner's equity has the potential to grow. So I'll keep him at a 7 for now because I think there's a lot of potential there.
All right.
I'm gonna give him a 4. I'm kind of disappointed in him, to be honest. Like, I feel like his social game is there, but I don't think his strategy or, you know, strategic game is there. I think that he's putting his eggs in the wrong basket. I think his eggs should be in the cookout basket, and instead I feel like he's in the Frenchie basket. And
he's frying those eggs.
He's frying those eggs, and I think that, you know, it's possible that this is like his strategy where it's like whoever's HOH, he's just gonna be like, I'm with you, or like I'm attracted to you, or whatever he's doing with Frenchie right now. And like, maybe that's his thing, is that like every time a person gets to be HOH, he goes like gung-ho, like I'm on your side, like this is, you know, we're together. Maybe that's what it is. But at this point, I'm concerned that he is like, Frenchie's my number 1, like we're together, and I could care less about the cookout, and like, and also I just want to get a bunch of women out. Like, I just feel like the strategy, like the thought process behind it, like I just don't understand it, and I think that it makes me worried for him moving forward. I think that he could be in a great spot.
Either way, I think we're just gonna end here and just hope that the game doesn't crash on me until next time I play. So yeah, we'll end here. Thanks up to you all. Thanks for watching.
So